one of the kings of rock and roll, Little Richard, along with some great videos. So listen, run to the kitchen, get some popcorn, ice cream, lasagna, get the fish out, thaw it, come back, sit down. We're going to have some fun right after this.
Tonight on Friday Night Videos, your host is John Larroquette of Night Court.
Woo!
With his special guests, Little Richard.
Prince,
I got a question.
I was wearing purple before you ever was born.
I got a question.
Oscar nominee Marilyn Martin and Sheena Easton. With broadcast premieres from the Rolling Stones, Whitney Houston, and Brian Setzer of the Stray Cats. Plus Prince, Falco, Force MDs, and John Cougar Mellencamp.
All right, we're going to talk to a gentleman named Richard Wayne Penniman right now. That's what he was born with, but he exploded upon the world, and we all know who he is, Little Richard. Let me ask you something. Does this sound familiar, these tunes? Tutti Frutti, Long Tall Sally, Ready Teddy, Lucille, Good Golly, Miss Molly. I mean, those were passwords for the anarchistic world of rock and roll when I was a kid. And I just want to say it is an honor and a privilege to be sitting next to you.
Thank you, thank you.
Indeed.
Thank you.
Incredible. I've just been reading this. Well, I could spend at least a day and a half talking to you.
You know, this is the first video show that I've ever been on, because when I was a kid, there wasn't no video. In fact, this is the first time I've ever been interviewed in a video show before.
If it would have been in the beginning, we'd be sitting behind in some dingy radio station right now. You know, probably eating bad chicken.
Oh my God, they didn't have no chicken.
All right, the first thing I want to talk about, let's start in present time, I think, maybe, and work backwards a little. I mean, the latest thing we have seen, the latest thing I've seen is Paul Mazursky's new film, Down and Out in Beverly Hills.
Yes.
You play a cantankerous, wild neighbor of Richard Dreyfuss. How did you and Paul get together to do that?
Well, Paul saw me on 60 Minutes, and he said, we got to do something for Richard. I grew up on his music, and that's my friend. I felt good doing the part, but it was kind of hard for me because it was so hard. Mike the dog gave me a big problem because he Mike, I love you. You're a good dog, Mike. Stop biting.
He doesn't watch this
my
show.
leg. Oh, he gonna watch. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. You'd be surprised. Mike watches more than you think he watches. He don't act like other dogs. No.
He probably has. You and he got along okay, though?
Yes, we got along fine. After he bit me, he came over and made
Really bit you?
He bit me for real. He thought my leg was a piece of black ham. He bit my leg for real.
Listen, we're going to see some of Richard's old friends right now, the Rolling Stones with a new clip. What's the title of it?
The Harlem Shuffler. They got that from Harlem. Oh, Mick.
It's been said that imitation is the best form of flattery. In some circles, it's been called plagiarism. Little Richard's career spans decades, and when you look at people who are recording today, and maybe looking back on the past at one of the giants, and taking a little bit of the style here and a little bit of the style there, Boy George, Prince, Michael Jackson, the list is endless of people who seem to go back to the foundations in this man's career and try to utilize what he did. Does it depress you, inspire you, make you feel grateful that these guys are doing?
Yes, it does. Now, years ago when Pat Boone did Tutti Frutti, it was a little down to me because I felt then that he was going to sell and I wasn't. It was my chance to get out of the kitchen. I was a dishwasher. I was so tired of washing plates. I washed so many plates, you could just call me Little Plate instead of Little Richard. But with Michael and Boy George and Prince, Michael Jackson is nothing like him. You know, he's the greatest. He's something else. You know, he's a genius, and I think he's so fantastic. And I love him so much. I loved him from a little boy. It's just an honor to me when I see Michael, Prince, Boy George, Mick Jagger, which used to travel with me and open my show, the Beatles, which also was my group working with me. James Brown was my vocalist. Jimi Hendrix was my guitarist. Billy Preston was my organist at the age of 14.
Yeah, but have you worked with anybody that made it?
Oh, woo! Yes, I did.
Listen, stay tuned. When we come back, Richard and I are going to talk about how he met the Beatles, or vice versa. MDs, Tender Love. Force MDs, Tender Love. Shop Boys, West End Girls.